Hi. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. This is the fourth speech in my series of speeches that may not have gotten recorded. A Treasury of the World's Great Speeches is where I'm reading from. It's a book that we got at the library sale where they sell off all the old books. And so I just thought maybe I'd record these and put them on YouTube because I imagine that a lot of them aren't there. And the one I've picked today, I'm kind of skipping around. I'm not the book's in chronological order, but I'm not going in chronological order. I'm all over the place. This is actually from the U.S. Federal Constitution Convention of 1787, where delegates from all the different former colonies and future states, whichever way you want to put it, got together and formed a constitution that is still the constitution we have today, with some changes, obviously. It wasn't sure that it was going to pass, and a lot of people were opposed to it, and so there was a lot of contention, but there were some very well-known founding fathers there. Washington presided over the convention. Benjamin Franklin was there. Alexander Hamilton was there. There were a lot of people working to make this happen. And so in September of 1787, they've just about wrapped it up. They're going to take a final vote. And there's a speech that I'm going to read out of there. And the speech is special for two reasons. It's unique for two reasons. One, this was a closed convention. The public wasn't allowed in. So this speech was very much meant for the governors, the delegates in this convention. And it wasn't published afterwards. It was years before it was published. It was in somebody's notes, and it was published then. And so it wasn't for the general public at that time. And then the other thing that makes it unique is this is Benjamin Franklin's speech. But Benjamin Franklin was 81, and this is end of a long, hot summer, September. And so he didn't feel up to standing up and speaking to the group. So he actually had a friend of his named James Wilson deliver the speech that he wrote. And this is that speech. Mr. President, I confess that there are several parts of this Constitution which I do not at present approve. But I am not sure I shall never approve them, for I have lived long. I have experienced many instances of being obliged by better information or fuller consideration to change opinions, even on important subjects, which I once thought right, but found to be otherwise. It is, therefore, that the older I grow, the more apt I am to doubt my own judgment and to pay more respect to the judgment of others. Most men, indeed, as well as most sects in religion, think themselves in possession of all truth, and that whenever others differ from them, it is so far error. Mr. Steele, a Protestant, in a dedication, tells the Pope that the only difference between our churches in their opinions of certainty of their doctrines is that the Church of Rome is infallible, or that the Church of England is never in the wrong. But though many private persons think almost as highly of their own infallibility as that of their sect, few express it so naturally as a certain French lady who, in a dispute with her sister, said, "I don't know how it happens, sister, but I meet with nobody but myself that's always in the right." In these sentiments, sir, I agree to this Constitution with all its faults, if there are such, because I think a general government necessary for us, and there is no form of government but what may be a blessing to the people if well administered, and believe further that it is likely to be well administered for a course of years, and can only end in despotism, as other forms have done before it, when the people shall become so corrupted as to need despotic government, being incapable of any other. I doubt, too, whether any other convention can obtain or may be able to make a better constitution. For when you assemble a number of men to have the advantage of their joint wisdom, you inevitably assemble with those men all their prejudices, their passions, their errors of opinion, their local interests, and their selfish views. From such an assembly can a perfect production be expected? It therefore astonishes me, sir, to find this system approaching so near to perfection as it does. And I think it will astonish our enemies, who are waiting with confidence to hear that our counsels are confounded like those of the builders of Babel, and that our states are on the point of separation, only to meet hereafter for the purpose of cutting one another's throats. Thus I consent, sir, to this Constitution, because I expect no better, and because I am not sure that that is not the best. The opinions I have had of its errors I sacrificed for the public good. I have never whispered a syllable of them abroad. Within these walls they were born, and here they shall die. If every one of us is in returning to our constituents, were to report the objections he has had to it, and endeavor to gain partisans in support of them, we might prevent it from being generally received, and thereby lose all the salutary effects of great advantages resulting naturally in our favor among foreign nations, as well as among ourselves, from real or apparent unanimity. Much of the strength and efficiency of any government in procuring and securing happiness to the people depends on opinion, on the general opinion of the goodness of the government, as well as the wisdom and integrity of its governors. I hope, therefore, that for our sakes, as a part of the people, and for the sake of our posterity, we shall act heartily and unanimously in recommending this Constitution, if approved by Congress and confirmed by this Convention, wherever our influence may extend, and turn our future thoughts and endeavors to the means of having it well administered. On the whole, sir, I cannot help expressing a wish that every member of the Convention who may still have objections to it would with me, on this occasion, doubt a little of their own infallibility, and to make manifest our unanimity, to put his name to this instrument. And so it goes on, a little note at the bottom. Franklin then moved that the Constitution be signed by the delegates, of which 39 of the original 55 were still in session. The genial atmosphere thus prepared, they made a small change to the Constitution, voted unanimously. Various members expressed briefly their hopes and fears, and Washington gave his dignified blessing to the proceedings. While the last members affixed their signatures, Madison noted, it was James Madison, that's whose memoirs this was in. James Madison noted that Dr. Franklin, looking toward the president's chair at the back of the House, had a rising sun painted behind it, observed to a few members near him that the painters had found it difficult to distinguish in their art a rising sun from a setting one. I have, he said, often and often in the course of this session, my hopes and fears as to the issue, looked at that painting behind the president without being able to tell whether the sun is rising or setting. But now at length I have the happiness to know that it is a rising sun and not a setting one. And so, this was in the period in between the American Revolution being concluded and won in America, and setting up an actual stable government, and nobody knew if an actual stable government was going to happen then. And so that was the closing chapter of that, the closing words of that little chapter in American history, where we finally decided to get our act together and put together a government that functioned, and functions well. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think, and we will see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.